Chapter 1171. On the city wall, Song Liangqing laughed out loud. Lin General, there's no need to run. You can't run away. I, Song Liangqing, have been ordered by Emperor Shang to lead 100,000 troops and have been waiting here for a long time just to welcome you. Drums were beating loudly all around them. There were sporadic swaying torches in the fertile fields in the distance. Song Liangqing was not lying. There were definitely 100,000 troops. Although most of them were infantrymen, the people in the Longdan army camp had not slept for 3 consecutive days. They had long reached their physical limits and their warhorses could not move anymore. The appearance of the 100,000 enemy troops was like a nightmare. With a neigh, the treading-in snow warhorse lost its front hooves and fell heavily in the dark snow. Xianxia hurried forward. Brother Yu, are you okay? I'm fine. Lin Muyu stood up from the muddy snow in a sorry state. She said, Yao, quick, order the 3 armies to retreat and meet up with Liu Bai's troops. Yes. Takshu. Lin Muyu looked at Takshu, who was struggling on the ground. She was already foaming at the mouth. Forget it. Go to where you should be. Don't get caught. Lin Muyu helped her to stand up. She cut the reins and patted Takshu's neck. Her face was full of desolation. She said, I didn't expect it to be time for me to release horses so soon. It's all my fault. In the dark, Xianxia brought a group of people with her. They were all cavalrymen from the Longdan army camp. However, all of them had abandoned their warhorses. They were holding shiny steel sabers, and their faces were full of blood and exhaustion. Xianxia said, Brother, quickly retreat. Even if we become infantrymen, we still have at least 5,000 soldiers here. We'll protect you and rush out. Lin Muyu raised the Xianyuan sword and said, Let's rush out together. By the way, where is Su Jiantao's division? Do not know. The night is too dark and quite a number of people were separated. Just received Yu's letter that Wei Chou and Su Jiantao each led 5,000 men and were cruising nearby. Should we send out the retreat signal? Xianxia glanced around and Fengxi, who was behind her, immediately took out an iron pipe and pulled the fuse in the air. This was a signal flare specially made with magic crystals. A blood-red light shot into the sky. This signal had never been used before, but this time it was necessary. The distant galloping of horses was getting closer and closer, and so was the light from the torches. From all directions the Shang army was charging over like a tidal wave. In fact, there was no need to guess. The 100,000 Shang army must have planned this from the start. Taking advantage of the fact that the Longdan army camp was like an arrow at the end of its flight, they wanted to kill Lin Muyu and the others right here. Go. Lin Muyu raised her sword and commanded everyone to retreat. Her gaze inadvertently swept across Xianxia and Fengxi's faces. Xianxia had the cultivation of Holy King, but after 3 days and 3 nights of continuous travel, her strength had been greatly depleted. Even Lin Muyu was the same. The dou qi in her body had been depleted by nearly half, and those ordinary soldiers were even worse off. Even their hands that were holding onto their weapons were trembling. The galloping of horses was getting closer and closer, but in front of them was a flat plain. There was no way to escape. Lin Muyu could not help but feel a sharp pain in her chest. Were the Longdan army camp's elite veterans that had followed her for so many years really going to die in her hands? Fengxi shouted, Lin General, we can't escape, let's fight. No, the front 3,000 men leave, the rear 2,000 men follow me to bring up the rear. Yes, sir. But when the order was passed down, the torches in front did not move. Several Kiliarchs flew over and knelt on the ground with their swords, their eyes red. Lin General, we have followed you for so many years, braved through fire and water, and now that disaster is upon us, Lin General, do you not want us veterans anymore? We will not leave, we would rather die here with Lin General than leave. Obey my orders. Lin Muyu shouted in a low voice, Don't forget you are soldiers, obeying orders is your duty. I order you to retreat to the west immediately and meet up with Liu Bai's infantry camp. The Kiliarchs trembled and one of them said with tears in his eyes, Lin General, why do we have to lie to ourselves? Those who stay will die and the one who should leave is Lin General, not us. The empire can live without us, but it can't live without Lin General. Lin Muyu felt extremely uncomfortable and his eyes were red as he said, Today's defeat is all on me. I underestimated the enemy and I was not considerate enough. Since we are all going to stay, then prepare to fight and kill as many as we can. If anyone dies before I kill a single person, I will punish him to be the scapegoat of the Spirit Fire Department when we reach the Ghost Realm." Everyone laughed loudly. Even Si Kongyao couldn't help but laugh involuntarily. However, there was more bitterness in her laughter. She knew that today might be her last battle. Although Lin Muyu was at the Divine Heaven Realm, he would definitely not be willing to abandon his soldiers and escape alone. Lin Muyu might die from exhaustion, and she would definitely not abandon her brother. Perhaps she would also die here. Thinking of this, Si Kongyao's eyes reddened and tears flowed down uncontrollably. Lin Muyu slowly drew out the Xianyuan sword, and his cloak fluttered in the cold night. He turned to look at the cavalry and pikemen hundreds of meters away and said calmly, "Don't forget the rules of our Longdan army camp. Set up the Cosmo Sword formation to defend against the cavalry and pikemen. Be careful of the archers, they will arrive soon." Yes. The 5,000 people quickly gathered on the plains, and the Cosmo Sword formation was quickly set up by 500 people. The sound of the horses' hooves grew louder. Song Liangqing's subordinates numbered around 5,000. Each of them raised their sabers from afar and shouted something as they charged straight at the enemy. "Take the attack." Lin Muyu was at the very front of the sword formation and he suddenly swept out with the Xianyuan sword. Instantly, a golden sword light swept across the ground, and nearly 100 cavalry quickly fell to the ground. The people at the back were already very fast and they could not stop at all. They just charged straight over. Feeling a faint sense of weakness in his arm, Lin Muyu took a deep breath and started to use his martial soul. The 7 luminaries' celestial sword enveloped the Xianyuan sword, and he shot out sword chi that was about 3 meters long. He mainly attacked in a small area like this, or else his battle chi would be consumed too quickly. Crack, crack, crack. After 3 consecutive strikes, 3 cavalrymen fell off their horses, but the spear of the 4th cavalryman struck straight into Lin Muyu's chest. Clang. Sparks flew and the spear was shaken off by the Chiyu armor. Lin Muyu took the opportunity to turn and kick the cavalryman off his horse. At the same time, countless cavalrymen charged over and hit the Cosmo Sword formation at the back, and the sound of killing shook the sky. The soldiers of the Longdan army camp who formed the sword formation were already extremely weak, and they could not withstand the impact of the cavalry formation. In the blink of an eye, the sword formation was broken through one after another, and the sword light danced wildly, turning it into a chaotic battle. "Now follow me closely," Lin Muyu shouted as he retreated and killed the enemy. At the same time he did not want Si Kongyao to die before him. Si Kongyao's sword danced with the ice profound art, and streams of ice soul sword chi shot into the cavalrymen's bodies. She quickly returned to Lin Muyu's side and said, "Brother, there are too many of them, we can't stop them. Since we can't escape, we will kill as many as we can." "Yes." Lin Muyu suddenly opened his arms and shouted in a low voice, "Acatosaurus, come out and help me." Roar! The dragon's aura burst out and Acatosaurus broke through the air, opened its huge mouth and bit a charging cavalryman into pieces. Then it shook its huge head to shake off the cavalryman and crouched down, making a respectful gesture to Lin Muyu. "Kill the enemies at will." Lin Muyu did not want to ride on Acatosaurus, and only ordered it to kill the enemies as quickly as possible. Roar! This was what Acatosaurus wanted to hear the most, and it swayed its huge body and rushed into the cavalrymen. At the same time, huge black shadows descended from the sky, and sword chi sprinkled into the crowd. It was the dragon cavalry led by Situ Sin and Situ Shua, but it seemed that there were not many of them, only a dozen of them. "Master, we are here." Situ Sin shouted, "How is it now?" "Just in time." Lin Muyu shouted, "Help us kill the enemies. Also, what about Su Jiantao's troops?" "Wei Chao's 5,000 men are being held up by the enemy's 20,000 foot soldiers. This subordinate just came from Su Jiantao's troops, and there are only a few Shang army swordsmen around him and there are about 8,000 of them. He asked me to come and help master." Lin Muyu frowned. "General Sin, you stay with 3 dragon cavalry. General Shui, you lead the rest of the dragon cavalry to Wei Chao's troops, and help Wei Chou fend off the enemy." "Yes." "When will the troops behind us arrive?" "Their war horses are already tired and they will only arrive after dawn." Lin Muyu felt as if her heart was struck by a heavy blow, and she felt like vomiting blood. She swung her sword and said, "Retreat while fighting and slowly retreat out of Red Rock City." "Yes." Torches flickered in the southern forest, and the Shang army was increasing in numbers, while the Qin army was left with only a few men. Among the crowd, the war horses had all fallen. Su Jiantao was wearing a commander's cape, and the 3 golden stars on his collar were stained with blood. His sword was chipped, and he looked at the troops coming from all directions and muttered, "Why are there more and more of them?" At the side, Captain Si Zhonghan said, "Marquis, this is the south of Red Rock City. Since the Shang army has 100,000 soldiers lying in ambush here, the ambush in the south must be to cover their retreat. There should be at least 30,000 to 50,000 of them, and they are attacking towards the north to surround Lin General's troops." "Lin General," Su Jiantao shuddered and said, "Send my order, raise the commander's flag and lure them here. We will stay here and block the ambush for Lin General." "But the Marquis." Zhang Han gritted his teeth and said, "If that's the case, we won't be able to escape." "Who can escape tonight?" Su Jiantao faintly smiled. He lowered his head and used the back of his cloak to wipe off the blood on his blade. He said, "Immediately pass down my order. Tell our brothers to raise the marshal's flag. If we die here, Marshal Lin will definitely avenge us." "Yes, Commander." Chapter 1172. The swordsmen were at the front and the archers were at the back. When Su Jiantao led the 5,000 Longdan army camp and killed nearly 2,000 enemy soldiers, he found that only a few of his own soldiers were left. The mountains were covered with the bodies of the Longdan army camp soldiers. Most of them died of exhaustion. If they were not exhausted, how could they have been defeated by this motley crew? "Retreat. Continue to retreat." Su Jiantao carried the bloody sword and continued to retreat. Looking behind him in the darkness of the night, a lonely cliff appeared in the forest behind him. He couldn't help but ask, "What mountain is that?" "Bugu Mountain," Zhang Han said. "Okay, retreat to Bugu Mountain." "Yes." More than 1,000 people from the Longdan army camp followed Su Jiantao up the mountain. Along the way they were ambushed and killed by the enemy's light cavalry. Hundreds of bodies were left on the mountainside. Many of these people were veterans of the Longdan army camp. Su Jiantao felt as if his heart was being twisted by a knife. Those veterans were his brothers for many years. Now they had all died miserably under cold arrows and butcher's knives. Even their chances of returning to their homeland with their corpses on the battlefield were rather slim. It was getting colder and colder on Bugu Mountain. Su Jiantao was panting. He was old and a veteran. "Marquis, take a break?" Zhang Han said. "Yes." Su Jiantao almost fell on a rock. He leaned his sword to the side and looked at the dense torches at the foot of the mountain. He could not help but laugh. "Marquis, why are you laughing?" Zhang Han asked in surprise. Su Jiantao laughed and said, "I'm laughing that this motley crew really thinks I'm Lin General. Haha, look at the people at the foot of the mountain. There are at least 50,000 of them. If there were 50,000 people here, Lin General should be able to escape. Zhang Han, we have made a great contribution." Zhang Han smiled bitterly and said, "What should we do?" "Die here." "Die here?" Su Jiantao looked up at him and said, "Zhang Han, if I remember correctly, your wife gave birth to a daughter not long ago, right?" "Yes." "Old friend, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have let you die here with me." Zhang Han sat down on the ground, a bitter smile on his face. "To be able to die together with a hero like the Marquis in a foreign land, this is my Zhang Han's honor. It's just that, thinking of not being able to return to my hometown, thinking of not being able to see my wife smile again, sigh. If I could return to my hometown one more time, I would rather die without regrets. I hope that after the war our corpses can be transported back to our hometown for burial." Su Jiantao laughed. He laughed so hard that he started coughing violently. He said, "Loyal bones are buried everywhere in Qingshan. Why do we need to bury our corpses on the battlefield, Marquis?" At this moment several captains rushed over, knelt down and said, "Commander, they are going up the mountain. There are so many of them. I'm afraid we can't resist a second attack." "It doesn't matter. We have stalled them here for 4 hours. It's enough." Su Jiantao stood up and pulled out the blade from the ground with one hand. His eyes were bloodshot and filled with tears. He looked up at the sky and laughed. "Bugu Mountain, I never thought that Bugu Mountain would be my Su Jiantao's burial ground. Ah, heaven's will, I'm not alone. I, Su Jiantao, have followed Lin General and fought for more than 10 years, all for the sake of ruling the world. Brothers, charge with me. Our blood will not be shed in vain. Everyone pulled out their weapons and followed Su Jiantao down the slope. At the foot of the mountain, a dense group of swordsmen went up the mountain cautiously. Among the crowd, a deputy commander wearing 3 gold stars rode on a warhorse, holding a sharp sword in his hand. He sneered and said, "Behead all the wounded soldiers of the Qin army on the mountain road." Yes. The infantrymen rushed over. Regardless of whether they were alive or dead, they chopped off the heads of the soldiers of the Longdan army camp who could not move. Their blood sprayed on the snow. Deputy Commander Sun Huan, a Chiliarch, said in a low voice, "I've got the news. Lin Muyu's troops are not here. The man here is Su Jiantao." Su Jiantao? Sun Huan's eyes turned cold. The Su Jiantao who shocked the West Sea? Yes. If it's good that it's Su Jiantao. Killing him will be a great merit. Charge and kill. Don't leave a single one alive. After we catch Su Jiantao, I will tear him into pieces. Everyone was slightly shocked. Then they quickly searched up the mountain. Not long after, flames rose in front of them. It was Su Jiantao who led the hundreds of people of the Longdan army camp and rushed down. They quickly fought with the infantrymen in front of them. Sun Huan's eyes were cold. Looking at the swordsman dying on the ground, he couldn't help but frown and said, "It's said that the Longdan army camp is the strongest army in the world. Now it seems that it is true. Even though they are exhausted, they still have such great combat strength. If they are still alive, how powerful will they be? Archers, shoot them down for me." "But Deputy Commander, there are still our men on the battlefield." "Cut the crap. Fire the arrows." Yes. Arrows and crossbows shot everywhere. Instantly the battlefield was dyed red with blood. An arrow pierced through Su Jiantao's left arm. His body trembled slightly. But what made him even more distressed was that Zhang Han had already been shot 7 or 8 times. "Zhang Han!" he shouted, but Zhang Han could no longer make a sound. Even his throat had been pierced. "Protect the marquis." The few people left in the Longdan army camp quickly went to protect Su Jiantao. They were all killed by the arrows. At the same time, Sun Huan walked forward with his long sword. He laughed and said, "Stop shooting. I want to cut off Su Jiantao's head with my own hands. Go surround him." Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky. A huge demonic shadow gathered in the sky. The murderous nature here seemed to have attracted the attention of the heavens. In the clouds, a purple gold scroll slowly unfolded and illuminated the earth. It was the Heavenly Book of Sealing. On the Heavenly Book of Sealing, a name was faintly discernible: Sun Huan. Sun Huan's murderous nature was too strong. He was about to be sealed as a demon. However, at this moment the arrow-filled corpses of the 2 soldiers in the Longdan army camp were pushed away. 3 arrows were stuck in Su Jiantao's chest, but the blade in his hand was surging with endless starlight. It was the first skill of the star technique taught by Lin Muyu. First appearance of starlight. "Are you going to become a demon?" Su Jiantao dashed forward with frightening eyes. He shouted, "Be *starred, how about becoming a demon with me?" Sun Huan was about to be sealed as a demon, but he didn't have that unparalleled power yet. He opened his mouth and watched Su Jiantao's lightning-fast attack. The long sword was already broken, and a part of it pierced into Sun Huan's mouth. The broken sword came out of his head. Su Jiantao was so decisive that he killed Sun Huan before he could be sealed as a demon. Another dozens of arrows shot into Su Jiantao's body. He staggered back, but his eyes were full of smiles. He laughed loudly and blood spurted out of his throat. Propping the broken sword on the ground, he slowly sat down under a pine tree. With a smile on his face, he slowly closed his eyes and his body became cold. The Shang army was dumbfounded. "Vice Commander is dead. Vice Commander is dead." At this moment the sound of a horn came from afar. It was the signal to retreat. "Commander has ordered the retreat. Go, go." The people shouted themselves hoarse. No one was willing to become enemies with a demon like Su Jiantao. He was able to kill a demon before he died. What kind of hero was he? The Shang army had indeed retreated. Their plan was to take advantage of the situation to kill Lin Muyu's troops. However, they knew that once Lin Muyu's reinforcements arrived, they wouldn't have any chance of winning. Therefore, before daybreak, the Shang army quickly retreated, abandoning Red Rock City. When the sun pierced through the clouds, the ground was filled with scars and corpses. It was a mess of war. On the snowy plains in the west, Lin Muyu was exhausted. She led the 3,000 exhausted Longdan army camp soldiers out of the encirclement. Not far away, the figures of Wei Chao's troops appeared. Wei Chao. Lin Muyu felt a sharp pain in his arm. Si Kongyao hurriedly supported him. She frowned and said, "Brother, don't move. Your arm was hit by 3 arrows. You can't move like this anymore." Dozens of meters away, Wei Chao fell off his horse. Tears flowed from his eyes. Lord, I just received news that Su Jiantao died in battle on Mount Bugu." "He died in battle? What?" Lin Muyu took a few steps back in disbelief. She mumbled, "How is this possible? He is Su Jiantao. He is the Zhongnan master." Wei Chou knelt on the ground and sat on the ground like a child. He cried loudly, "It's true. The news just came from Mount Bugu." "Mount Bugu?" Lin Muyu leaned on the Xianyuan sword and looked in the direction of Mount Bugu in the distance. She walked over step by step and murmured, "Impossible, impossible. I want to see it with my own eyes. You're all lying to me. My Zhongnan master Su Jiantao is invincible. How could he die? It can't be, it can't be." Mount Bugu had been surrounded by the Longdan army camp. Half of the snow on the mountain was dyed red with blood. Along the way there were corpses of Su Jiantao's soldiers everywhere. Lin Muyu, Wei Chou, Si Kongyao, Fengxi and others walked up the bloody mountain step by step. They saw many soldiers of the Longdan army camp who had been beheaded. The pine tree swayed slowly in the wind. Su Jiantao's body was cold and the blood on the arrow wound had frozen. He looked very peaceful and even the corners of his mouth were slightly raised. The broken sword in his hand was propped on the ground, deeply pierced into the soil. He had been hit by more than 20 arrows, and his feathers were trembling slightly in the wind. Lin Muyu was speechless and wept. She sat beside Su Jiantao's body and leaned against the pine tree with tears rolling down her cheeks. "Brother Yu." Si Kongyao wanted to comfort him but she didn't know how. The wound on Lin Muyu's arm was bleeding and the white gauze was stained with blood. Her tears fell on the blood-stained white cloak. She said bitterly, "Brother, I really shouldn't have brought you from the holy temple to the Longdan army camp. From then on, you all thought that I, Lin Muyu, was a clever strategist and that I, Lin Muyu, would never lose a battle. Now I'm like a stray dog. I can't even save your life and now I'm plotted against like a piece of trash. Your Excellency." Wei Chao's eyes turned red. Please don't be like this." Lin Muyu gritted her teeth so hard that her lips started to bleed. However, she couldn't feel the pain anymore. She said in a sobbing tone, "Zhongnan master, I feel sorry for you all my life. You've been risking your life for so many years. It's you who defeated the armored demons with the shield cavalry. You got the title of Zhongnan master but it was taken away by the Congress. I didn't even say a word. I, Lin Muyu, feel sorry for you all my life. I'm too self-righteous, too smart. Your Excellency, please don't say any more." Wei Chou knelt on the snow. Behind him, Feng Jixing, Situ Sin and Situ Shui all knelt down. In the blink of an eye, all the people on the mountainside had knelt down. Lin Muyu looked at the quivering arrow feather on Su Jiantao's chest and her eyes turned red. She continued, "I originally planned to wait until the war is over to think of a way to get you the method of immortality. I originally planned to use my life to ensure that all the generals of the Brave Dragon Battalion would die a good death after the unification. But God didn't give me time. I was powerless. With tears streaming down her face, Si Kongyao said, "Brother Yu, we all understand. Please don't say any more." As if she didn't hear Si Kongyao's words, Lin Muyu roared at the sky, "Qin Yu Song Liangqing, I swear I'll kill you. If I don't crush you into ashes, I, Lin Muyu, swear I'm not a human." Puff. He suddenly opened his mouth and vomited blood. His breath became extremely chaotic and weak. He slowly stood up with the Xianyuan sword in his hand, but the sword light also became dim. After taking 2 steps, he suddenly fell on the snow. Chapter 1173. On the 1st of February it was snowing heavily and the weather was extremely cold. Outside Red Rock City, supplies were continuously transported over. At the same time, officials from the various prefectures in the province sent letters of surrender, expressing their willingness to become citizens of the Qin Empire. At noon, the winged cavalry from Blazing Prairie Province sent the letter of surrender. Because the governor of Blazing Prairie Province had no military strength, he was willing to offer the governor's seal. However, all official business was halted because of Lin Muyu's coma. In the residence in Red Rock City, Wei Chou, Sidu Sen, Sidu Shui, Si Kong Yao, and the rest were anxiously pacing back and forth in the living room of Lin Muyu's room. Si Kong Yao held a cup of green tea in her hand and said, "Wei Chou, stop pacing back and forth. My eyes are getting dizzy from all the walking." Wei Chou gritted his teeth and said, "Sir has been unconscious for a long time. What should we do?" Si Kong Yao's gaze was gloomy as she said, "Brother has been fighting for 3 days and 3 nights. He took the lead and almost exhausted all his battle energy. Then he was overly sad because of Tsongnan Master's death in battle. Sigh, let's see what Sister Chu Yao has to say after diagnosing him." At this moment the door opened with a creak. Chu Yao, who was dressed in the white robes of the spiritual medicine department, walked out. She frowned and said, "He has been having a high fever since this morning and is very weak. He needs to recuperate for a period of time. Let's not disturb him for the time being. I will stay here and focus on taking care of him." Si Kong Yao opened her small mouth. Chu Yao said, "Go in and take a look if you want to. He is not awake yet. In a while, give him a bowl of porridge. Otherwise, the nutrients in his body will not be able to keep up." Si Kong Yao strode into the room and saw that Lin Muyu was unconscious. Chu Yao looked at the generals in the hall and said, "Don't you know what to do when you isn't here? Don't forget, all of you are Yu's trusted generals. You needs to rest now, so don't bother him with your military and political affairs. Otherwise I won't agree." Wei Chou smiled awkwardly. "Yes, Great Deacon. We understand, but, just what? The Prairie Province has decided to surrender. We don't know if it's true or not and we haven't responded yet. Isn't it very simple?" Chu Yao raised her eyebrows and said, "The Prairie Province did not have many soldiers in the first place, and they were almost annihilated by the Longdan army camp this time. Moreover, the Prairie Province is located in the south. To the east is an insurmountable mountain range, to the west is the Lisan Province, and to the north is the Red Rock Province. They have been trapped in the south and have no choice but to surrender. Wei Chou, you can send a Chili Arch and 10 civil officials to recruit the troops of the Prairie Province and regulate the internal affairs of the province. In that case, even if they are deceiving us, we won't suffer too much loss." "Yes, I'll do it soon. If Lin General can do it, I'll tell him that it's Great Deacon Chu Yao's order." You're still the commander of the Longdan army camp. You're really afraid of taking responsibility." "Ha!" Wei Chou laughed bitterly. "Great Deacon, you may not know this, but Wei Chou is a general and the recruitment of provinces is done by the civil officials. It's not my turn. I think the Great Deacon of the Spiritual Medicine Department should be considered a civil official. With your words, I can handle it without worry." "Yes. Oh yes, there's one more thing." Wei Chou, who was at the door, suddenly stopped and turned around. "Her Highness Yin and Princess Xi are in Shiping City presiding over the memorial ceremony for the soldiers who died in the Battle of Longyuan. Should we inform Her Highness about the news of Lin General's coma?" Chu Yao bit her red lips and said, "No, this will only make Xiao Yin and Xiao Shi worry in vain. Just tell them that Hongyan province has been conquered. Also, tell them about the news of Commander Su Jiantao's death. Send a Dragon Knight to Xishan province with Commander Su Jiantao's body. They should arrive within half a day. Give him a proper burial. He's a meritorious hero of the empire." "Yes, I understand." In the room, Lin Muyu's eyes were closed and she was unconscious. Her body was trembling slightly as if she was having a nightmare. Her forehead was drenched in sweat. "Brother." Si Kong Yao wiped her brother's sweat. Her pretty face was filled with worry. Chu Yao walked in again and said, "Miss Sikong, don't worry too much. Yu's body is strong. This time he's just suffering from some serious injuries, excessive grief and anxiety. He'll wake up soon. He needs to recuperate now, so let's not disturb him." There are many things waiting to be done in Hongyan province. As the commander of the Bai Zhe mercenaries, you have many things to do. "Yes, thank you, Sister Chu Yao, for the reminder." Si Kong Yao pursed her red lips and said, "I'll be in the military field. Once brother wakes up, please send someone to inform me." "Okay, go." Si Kong Yao left reluctantly. Chu Yao sat on the side of the bed and looked at Lin Muyu's pale face. She said, "Why don't you take care of your body? Look, so many people are worried about you. Hurry up and wake up. If you don't wake up, I'm afraid you'll miss Su Jiantao's funeral." West Mountain Province, beside the Green Mountains outside Longyuan. Hongyan Province was less than 1,000 miles away from here. Situ Sin and Situ Shui's dragon riders arrived in half a day. On the snowy ground, the civil and military officials of the empire were solemnly standing, paying their respects to the fallen soldiers. "Situ Sin is here." Feng Jixing raised his head and said. Qian Feng frowned and said, "There's been no news from the Red Rock Province for 3 days in a row. Citizen must have brought some news." Yes. A total of 4 giant dragons landed on the empty ground in front of the crowd. Situ Sin slid down from the dragon's back and knelt. "Subject Situ Sin pays his respects to your highness and Princess Shi." "Get up," Qin Yin, who was wearing a white empress robe, said. "General Sin, how is brother Yu?" "Everything is going well." Situ Sin's eyes were red as he mumbled, "We, the Longdan army camp, defended Fenghuang Pass for almost 10 days. Exhausting the morale and provisions of Hisong's army of 250,000. When Hisong retreated, Lin General ordered us to chase after him non-stop. For 3 days and 3 nights, we killed our way from Fenghuang Pass to Hongyan City and almost annihilated Hisong's army. But that goddamn Qin Yu actually sent his general Song Liangqing to lead 100,000 elites to ambush us. The vanguard of the Longdan army camp was almost wiped out, and Lin General was seriously injured." "Ah?" Qin Yin's body trembled slightly and she asked anxiously, "Is brother Yu all right?" "Lin General is fine, he's just seriously injured." Situ Sen's eyes were filled with tears. But in order to cover for Lin General, Su Jiantao led 5,000 soldiers to stop the 50,000 bandits. They were besieged on Bugu Mountain, and after a night of bloody battle, he died for his country. Situ Sen knelt on the ground, tears flowing down his face. No one would have thought that the valiant general would cry so unscrupulously. He knelt there, stabbed his sword into the ground and curled up like a pitiful shrimp. The camaraderie between soldiers was something that outsiders could never understand, not to mention Situ Sen and Su Jiantao, who belonged to the Longdan army camp, were close friends who had gone through thick and thin together for many years. Behind them, 2 dragon knights carried Su Jiantao's coffin down the dragon's back. Su Jiantao's body was wrapped by a purple flower flag, and he looked very serene before his death, even smiling. Feng Jixing, Zhang Wei, Qin Yan and others' eyes turned red, and they all knelt on the ground with one knee. Even Qin Yin, the female monarch, also knelt down slowly and murmured, Bury Su Jiantao in the first place of the Longyuan country tomb, and confer him the title of Duke Tsongnan. His son will inherit his father's title, and the title will be passed down from generation to generation. After the establishment of the nation, the titles of Duke, Marquis, Earl, and Viscount were deposed one after another, and almost all the titles were conferred to some heroes who died for the country, which was understandable. Situ Sin stepped forward and said, Your Highness, please don't be too sad. In this battle, the Longdan army camp killed nearly 200,000 enemies, and lost more than 50,000 soldiers. What about Lin General? Qin Yin moved her red lips and asked, How is Lin General? Oh, Lin General suffered a minor injury, and is now in Hongyan City to take charge of the overall situation. Really? Yes. Qin Yin didn't seem to believe Su Jiantao's words. She knew Lin Muyu's character very well. Su Jiantao was Lin Muyu's beloved general, and they had been close friends for so many years. Now that Su Jiantao died in battle, how heavy the blow to Lin Muyu must be. Feng Jixing stepped forward and said, Your Highness, after Duke Tsongnan's body is sent into the tomb, you must read the eulogy yourself. Yes, I know. Feng Jixing glanced at Situ Sin again and asked, Is you all right? Please rest assured, Deputy Commander Lin General is fine. Fine. Oh, that's good. Feng Jixing frowned and didn't say anything more. Someone took the lead to sing the Empire's war song, the Song of the Autumn Goose. Soon the soldiers were also singing. Many of them were wounded and came to send their brothers on their last journey. At this time, what better way to express the sorrow in their hearts than the Song of the Autumn Goose? The world is vast, the mountains and rivers are magnificent. The cold moonlight shone into the battlefield. The rice is green and the breeze is blowing. The Empire's warriors go to war together. Kill all the jackals and wolves and live a frivolous life. Who will comfort my wounds? The road home can no longer be seen. Anxiously waiting only to sigh at the high mountains and long rivers. Unhindered in all directions, forever defending the country. What harm is there for the soul to return to the ends of the earth? The warrior's robe is broken, where will he be buried? The autumn goose, please take my soul back to my hometown. The road home can no longer be seen. The road home can no longer be seen. Feng Jixing mourned and his heart couldn't help but twitch. Who would be the next to die? Situ-sen looked up at the snowy sky, and faintly heard the sorrowful cries of birds. It was already spring, but it was still snowing heavily. Situ-sen's voice trembled and he shouted to the sky, Autumn goose, if you are really here, please take Su Jiantao's soul back to his hometown so that when we, the living, go back to drink we can accompany him. Su Jiantao loves to discuss the world with warm wine. Quickly take him home, don't leave him here alone. Feng Jixing, Zhang Wei and the others couldn't help but twitch and tears rolled down. Chapter 1174. Blood red, a blood red world. The trees were blood red, the water was blood red, the mountains were blood red, and even the sky was blood red. Where am I? Lin Muyu stood in the blood red field in a daze. The sound of horses' hooves came from afar. He hurriedly reached behind him to grab something, but he couldn't catch anything. The Xianyuan sword had disappeared. In the blood-red field, a dense group of cavalrymen charged over. They waved their sharp blades, roared and cursed. Their spears and sharp swords glinted with cold light as they charged straight at Lin Muyu. Ah! Lin Muyu wanted to run, but his feet were as heavy as lead and he couldn't move at all. At the same time, he was shocked to find that the armor of these cavalrymen was exactly the same as the special armor of the Longdan army camp. The battle flag they were holding had a gorgeous purple flower flying in the air. They were the Longdan army camp. Lin Muyu's eyes widened. Phew! The cavalrymen roared angrily, waved their weapons and rushed over. They were actually cursing loudly. Lin Muyu, what right do you have to exchange our lives for your fame? You coward, why did we die instead of you? Even a good man like Su Jiantao died, why didn't you? Lin Muyu stood there in a daze, trembling all over. At this moment he realized that these were the soldiers of the Longdan army camp who had died in the battle. They were full of resentment, as if they had returned from purgatory. Come on. Lin Muyu slowly knelt down, raised his head to look at the cavalryman and said with tears in his eyes, I don't want to live in guilt for the rest of my life. If killing me can make you feel better, then kill me. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. Brothers, I was too conceited and let you die tragically. I'm sorry. Brother. A voice suddenly rang in his ears. Lin Muyu's body continued to fall, as if he was about to fall into the blood-colored world's vortex. He cried bitterly and desperately reached out to grab something, but there was nothing he could grab. When she suddenly woke up, she found herself lying on the bed, soaked in sweat, and sitting next to her was Si Kongyao. At this time, Si Kongyao seemed to be scared out of her wits. Lin Muyu hugged her tightly. It turned out that the person who woke her up in her dream was Si Kongyao. Brother, are you all right? Si Kongyao murmured. I'm fine. Lin Muyu let go of Si Kongyao's hand and muttered, This is Red Rock City, right? Yes. How long have I been asleep? 5 days and 5 nights. Si Kongyao helped him sit up and said, Brother, did you have a nightmare just now? Yes, I dreamt of my dead brothers. Lin Muyu finally realized that there were tears on her face. She hurriedly wiped them away and said, No one has forgiven me. I'm the one who caused everyone to fall into such a desperate situation. Si Kongyao frowned and said, No one can do better than you. War has always been unpredictable, so why does brother have to constantly let himself sink into self-blame? I believe that the soldiers who sacrifice themselves for their country will not hate you. On the contrary, they hope that you can pull yourself together and avenge them. Avenge, yes, avenge. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, My battle with Qin Yu has just begun. At this time Tu Yao pushed open the door and entered saying, All right, just in time. I have a bowl of porridge here. Drink it first, you haven't eaten in a long time. Big sister Chu Yao, why are you here? I'm here. Chu Yao smiled slightly. How can I not worry when you're like this? What's more, there are tens of thousands of wounded soldiers in Red Rock City. How can I not come as the head attendant of the medicine department? Thank you, no need to be so polite. Eat first. Yes. Lin Muyu was indeed hungry and drank 3 bowls of porridge in a row. Chu Yao insisted that he should not eat too much, otherwise he could drink 10 bowls. Sikong Yao smiled at the side and said, "Big brother, let me tell you a piece of good news. During the 5 days that you were unconscious, the various prefectures and commanderies of the Red Rock province have surrendered, and they've stationed our troops there and replaced them with our officials. Besides that, the Prairie Blaze province has surrendered as well. Now the Governor-General's seal is with us, and the entire Darkstone Empire has been incorporated into Great Qin's territory." "Really?" "Yes. Unfortunately, we still suffered a crushing defeat at Red Rock City. Even Su Jiantao died for his country." Lin Muyu slowly leaned against the headboard and said, "Yao, don't you think I'm useless? When we were defending Phoenix Pass, I was already thinking of a strategy to chase after He Song's troops. At that time, Qin Yu had already sent 100,000 troops under Song Liangqing to Red Rock City. From that moment on, my thoughts were completely seen through by Qin Yu. This battle was a complete and utter defeat." Si Kong Yao looked at him with a gloomy gaze and said, "From the start of the Battle of the Eastern Sea, you've always been a step ahead of Qin Yu. You even forced him to withdraw from the naval battle and flee to Firesource province like a stray dog. Brother, you've won countless times but only lost once. How can you constantly blame yourself? If it were anyone else, no one would have done a better job than you. This is your responsibility and only you can shoulder this responsibility. Do you understand? If it weren't for you, Bai Zai's mercenaries wouldn't have served. If it weren't for you, the prefectures of the 2 provinces wouldn't have surrendered so quickly. The merits and demerits are all on you. You don't have to blame yourself. There's no such thing as an unbeatable general in this world. Perhaps losing a battle is the true you. Furthermore, did we really lose this battle? The Longdan army camp was besieged by Song Liangqing's 100,000 troops. More than 20,000 died, but Song Liangqing also lost 40,000. The soldiers of the Longdan army camp didn't bring shame to you. They died a good death. It's just that the price of this battle was too high." Lin Muyu said in a low voice, "Losing Su Jiantao was like losing an arm." "I know." Si Kong Yao said gently, "No one blames you. Rest well. We still need you to take charge of the situation in the future." And Lin Muyu stretched her arms. "Is there any other news?" "Yes, the second batch of troops from the Lingdong province has arrived at the Celestial Pole continent. There's a total of 450,000 troops. The 60,000 troops of the Dragon League and 90,000 armor demons have arrived at the West Mountain province. Now we have 600,000 troops in the West Mountain province. It's enough to wipe out the remaining troops of Yangshang." "Oh," Lin Muyu said with a dispirited expression. "I'm afraid it won't be that easy. Now it's not a tripartite confrontation. Qin is the strongest. Qin Yu isn't an idiot. When we attack Yangshang, Qin Yu will definitely find a chance to attack our weakest point. I'll inform Brother Feng to be careful later. You rest first." "Okay." Searing cold city in the palace hall, the banquet had been held for a whole 5 days. Qin Yu was dressed in a dragon robe and was in high spirits. The civil and military officials below the throne were all talented people. At this time, the Celestial Empire had 800,000 troops and could be said to be the overlord of a region. Their momentum was even greater than that of Yangshang. Song Liangqing had made a name for himself after defeating the elites of the Longdan army camp, wiping out 20,000 elites of the Longdan army camp, seriously injuring Lin Muyu, Wei Chou and killing the famous general Su Jiantao. Now he had been promoted to the rank of general and was also the deputy commander of the Celestial Empire. He was flushed with success and naturally had nothing to say. After putting down the white jade wine goblet in his hand, Song Liangqing cupped his hands and said with a smile, "Your Majesty, the heavenly great continent can be said to be a tripartite confrontation. Among them, the Qin state is the strongest while the kingdom of Shang is the weakest. Half a day ago, we received news that close to 500,000 troops from the Qin state have already arrived at the West Mountain province. Now they can be said to be strong and well-trained. We must plan ahead." Qin Yu nodded and smiled. "We understand, but let's wait for the right time. Before the Qin army makes a move, we need to continue lying low and wait for the best opportunity to strike." "Right, how is Lin Muyu?" Marshal Wei Qiang replied, "Your Majesty, our spies in Red Rock City have sent back news that Lin Muyu has been unconscious for 5 days and 5 nights. For the time being he has not attended any military meetings and no one has seen any trace of him. In addition, the great deacon of the Qin State's Spiritual Medicine Department, Chu Yao, has appeared in Red Rock City. However, she has locked herself in her room and has not come out. She should be treating Lin Muyu's injuries. Humph. Qin Yu's gaze was indifferent as he said, Lin Muyu is our greatest worry. If Lin Muyu dies from his injuries, General Song, we will bestow upon you the title of Marquis of 10,000 households. Song Liangqing was overjoyed. Your Majesty, you have a flood of good fortune. Lin Muyu will not be able to escape death. Zhou Binlong said, Your Majesty, Lin Muyu's physical injuries are a small matter, but his heart is the most serious. Su Jiantao was his right-hand man. Now that Su Jiantao has been killed by our army, Lin Muyu's entire army has suffered a setback. Your Majesty, think about it. From the battle at the Eastern Sea to breaking through the Northern Pass, to destroying Qianshan City within 2 hours, to finally defeating He Song's army outside Fenghuang Pass, this Lin Muyu has been unstoppable all along the way. Such an elite army has long become a proud soldier, but now they have been defeated by our army at Red Rock City, suffering heavy casualties. The loss of Lin Muyu's elite vanguard is a small matter, but the blow to his confidence is the most important. As long as we advance step by step, I believe that Lin Muyu will no longer be able to do anything. Qin Yu shook his head and said with a smile, No, Commander Zhou has underestimated Lin Muyu. This man is good at scheming and forbearance. He is as immovable as a mountain and as swift as fire. Right now Lin Muyu is like a wounded lion. Once he recovers, his sharp claws will be able to tear everything apart. Compared to what you have said, I would rather Lin Muyu remain unconscious and die among the wounded. Your Majesty, Wei Qiang said, ever since we withdrew from Huiyuan province, there are only a few thousand local defenders left in this province. It is completely empty. The Qin army has not been stationed here, and Yangshang does not have the guts to enter either. Why don't we station our troops in Huiyuan province and wait for the right time? Oh. Qin Yu waved his hand and said, Feng Jixing is not a fool. Why doesn't he enter Huiyuan province? That is because Huiyuan province is the battlefield of 3 battles. Once he enters, he will be attacked from all sides. Whoever enters Huiyuan province first will become the target of public criticism. On the contrary, Huiyuan province has no one stationed here, but it has become a natural barrier between Qin, Shang and Tianjue province. Our enemy is still Lin Muyu. Our current military strategy is to eliminate Lin Muyu first, then Feng Jixing and finally Yangshang. In this way we will have accomplished a great deed. Your Majesty is wise. Chapter 1175. In the blink of an eye, another 10 days had passed. Everything was peaceful. Both the Qin and Shang dynasties needed time to recuperate while the Celestial Empire remained dormant. In the past month, Lin Muyu had been working hard and preparing for war. What he did the most was to prepare provisions and weapons. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi had also come from Xishan province and brought 150,000 elite soldiers to help Lin Muyu defend the 3 provinces in the south. To the Qin Empire, these 3 provinces were the backlands of the Qin Empire. They had to be defended well, otherwise, they would not be able to establish a foothold in this foreign land. Spring had arrived, but there was no sign of spring in the world. Every 3 to 5 days, there would be a heavy snowfall, and the temperature was always fluctuating around the melting ice and snow. Hongyan City was a strong city. When He Song ruled Hongyan City, he was cruel and merciless. He captured civilians and sacrificed them for wolf souls. This caused a lot of complaints. However, after the Qin Empire occupied Hongyan City, they immediately issued a notice to pacify the people. They copied thousands of imperial charters and distributed them to all the prefectures and prefectures. They ordered the entire nation to follow the constitution and rule the country according to it. After all, even the empress had to follow this decree. Thus, the entire society became orderly. What the people needed was actually very simple: a sense of security, a guarantee of life and fairness. Lin Muyu's injuries gradually healed. Although the speed was much slower than expected, it was still better. Early in the morning, Ren Baqian, who was wearing the marshal's cloak, slowly walked out of his room and came to the bitterly cold courtyard. He saw that the peach blossoms in the courtyard had not bloomed yet. Only the small flower buds were covered with snow. If the weather continued to be cold, it was likely that they would not bloom this year. Those flower buds would freeze to death as the weather changed. Sigh. Lin Muyu looked up at the peach branches and couldn't help but sigh. The weather was still cold. This could only mean that the aura of the demonic world was still surging and seeping into the six realms. Although the heavenly punishment had passed, the chaos was still there. You're up? Behind him, Qin Yin's gentle laughter could be heard. Come, drink some hot soup first. Thank you, Xiaoyin. Lin Muyu turned around and took the soup. She then looked at Qin Yin's beautiful face and said, Xiaoyin, is there any news from the West Mountain Province and the Kingdom of Shang? Not yet. Qin Yin blinked her eyes and said, for the time being General Feng, Qianfeng and Dingxi are watching over there. It's okay. Brother Yu, the most important thing is to take good care of your body. Lin Muyu drank a mouthful of soup and continued to look at the peach branches. This year's peach blossoms won't bloom. Yeah, maybe. Qin Yin clenched her fists and looked at the footprints on the snow. She said thoughtfully, Brother Yu, have you ever considered— What did you consider? Hand over the military power and let Wei Chou control the Longdan army camp and Bai Zhe mercenaries? Qin Yin said carefully, I'm worried about your body, so don't waste your energy. Xiaoxi thinks the same. Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. She looked down at her and said, Xiaoyin, you're not worried about my body. You're worried about my confidence, right? After the defeat at Red Rock City, are you worried that I'll develop a psychological fear of Qinyu? Qin Yin stammered, tacitly agreeing. Lin Muyu placed the bowl on the stone table and stepped forward to support Qin Yin's shoulder. She looked straight at her and said, That's right, Qinyu is very strong, so strong that I don't have the confidence to defeat him. But Xiaoyin, you must know that Qinyu is a hurdle for me. He used a scheme to kill my general Su Jiantao. If I can't overcome this hurdle myself, if I can't defeat Qinyu and use his blood as a sacrifice to Su Jiantao, I'm afraid I'll regret this for the rest of my life. I'll be ashamed to face Su Jiantao's spirit in heaven. But, don't worry, hatred won't make me lose my cool. I've already recovered. Lin Muyu smiled, her clear eyes filled with incomparable confidence. Qin Yin smiled as well. Just as Lin Muyu had said, the invincible Lin Muyu had returned. Slowly sitting down on the cold stone bench, Qin Yin ran her fingers through her hair and said gently, Brother Yu, are you planning to start a war with the north and south? Yes. Lin Muyu's eyes shone like torches. Feng Jixing, Qianfeng and Dingxi are guarding the West Mountain Province. There's a total of 500,000 soldiers, more than enough to suppress and even destroy Yangshang's army. What I need to do is to delay Qinyu here, not allowing him to make any rash moves. I'll wait for Big Brother Feng to destroy the Kingdom of Shang and take control of the Blackstone Empire and the Tianji Empire. When the time comes, the North and South will march east together and destroy the Celestial Empire will only be a matter of months. Do you have any plans? Yes. Lin Muyu naturally trusted the Empress wholeheartedly and said, no matter how resourceful Qinyu is, most of his troops are new recruits, and it's a very objective fact that they lack combat strength. Therefore, as long as Qinyu mobilizes his troops and the Forest of Never Return attacks Feng Jixing and Qianfeng, I'll have a chance. Setting off from the eastern pass of Hongyan Province, the light cavalry will be able to approach Scorching Han City within 2 days. If Qinyu dares to attack Feng Jixing, I'll immediately launch a surprise attack on his lair. Without the support of Scorching Han City, Qinyu's 800,000 soldiers will naturally collapse. Aren't you worried that Qinyu will feign an attack and set up an ambush midway? Lin Muyu laughed. Even my Xiaoyin can predict that Qinyu will use this strategy, so why would Qinyu show off his slight skill in front of an expert? Qin Yin couldn't help but grumble coquettishly and laughed. Are you saying that I'm stupid? Not at all. Lin Muyu held her warm little hand and said, I'm just stating the facts. Xiaoyin isn't stupid, but I don't want you to get involved in this treacherous world of conspiracies. Where's Xiaoxi? She disappeared early in the morning. Oh, she and Yao went out to buy some vegetables. She said that she wanted to personally buy some fresh vegetables to cook for you to nourish your body. There are so many chefs in the spiritual fire department, yet they actually need to personally cook. It's a different kind of intention. All right. Not long after, bustling noises could be heard from outside. It seemed that Si Kongyao and Tang Xiaoxi had returned. The two girls' personalities were inclined towards liveliness, so it was extremely lively when they were together. Lin Muyu and Qin Yin immediately walked out of the courtyard. As expected, in the courtyard of the mansion, Tang Xiaoxi and Si Kongyao walked side by side. Si Kongyao was extremely excited. She said, "Big brother, I brought someone back. Guess who it is?" "Who?" "Here." Si Kongyao moved aside, and behind her was a travel-worn girl. She was wearing the clothes of a noble girl in Tianji City, but the hem of her skirt was covered in mud. It was obvious that she had a bumpy journey. Her face was considered delicate and pretty, and she looked very familiar. Lin Muyu recognized her at a glance. She said in astonishment, "Miss Xianxia?" It was the eldest miss of the Xiang family. After Xianxia saw Lin Muyu, her eyes couldn't help but redden. She bowed and said, "Xianxia greets the marshal. Why so polite?" "You are the marshal, you are no longer that person." Xianxia moved her red lips. She said, "And I am just the daughter of a destroyed country, a pitiful person with a broken family. What is going on?" Lin Muyu was puzzled. Si Kongyao said, "Big brother, don't you know? The Chamber of Commerce of Sister Xianxia's family is called the Xiang League. The business of Xiang League used to control nearly 30% of the economic lifeline of Tianji Empire, and the Xiang League was also known as the richest in the world. But later, Baiming Yuan was not the emperor anymore, and the new emperor Yangshang kept squeezing them until a few days ago. I made a secret agreement with Sister Xianxia that the Xiang League would secretly provide military rations to Xishan province. This matter was exposed and the whole Xiang League was affected." Xianxia's eyes were red. She said, 20 days ago my father and brother were killed. Because I was not in Tianji City, I was lucky to get the news. I mixed in with the refugees along the way, and after several troubles I came to Red Rock City. The servants following me also reduced from more than 70 at the beginning to 4 now. I have no relatives left, and Yao is the only one I can rely on." Behind Xianxia, the 4 servants also looked travel-worn. One of them was even seriously injured and half of his arm was chopped off. It seemed that they had really experienced hardships along the way. Lin Muyu said apologetically, "Miss Xianxia, please restrain your grief. This matter started because of our Qin Empire. Please rest assured the Qin Empire will not let the Xiang League down." "Yao, what are you going to do?" Si Kongyao shook her head, "I don't know for now. Let's arrange for Sister Xianxia to stay in Red Rock City first. Okay?" Lin Muyu nodded, and her expression was a little hesitant. Qin Yin, who was beside her, naturally knew what she was thinking, so she got close to her and whispered, "I did hear the news that the whole Xiang League was almost annihilated and more than 300 people were killed. If it was a traitor, then the price was too high and Xianxia's despair was definitely not faked." "Okay, I understand." Lin Muyu nodded and said, "Xiang League was once a famous clan. You must have friends all over the world in the business world." Xianxia was startled. "And that is indeed the case. Marshal, why are you asking this?" "I mean..." Lin Muyu shrugged and said, "I want to hand over the business lifelines of the 3 southern provinces to young Miss Xianxia, and all the businesses in terms of clothing, food, housing, and so on and so forth will be provided to you through the channels of the government. You have to revitalize the economy of the Darkstone Empire as soon as possible. I wonder if young Miss Xianxia is willing?" "Ah." Xianxia was clearly very surprised. I am afraid." "What?" "It is not that I am unwilling, but I am afraid that I am not capable enough." Xianxia lowered her head and muttered, "Furthermore, why would Marshal trust a woman like me who had betrayed you all before?" "That is because we all serve our own masters. It is not considered betrayal. Now, is Miss Xianxia willing to accept my invitation to become the #1 person of Great Qin's Xiang League in Heaven's Pole?" I am willing." Xianxia looked at him with her clear eyes and said, "It is just that the Blackstone Empire's territory has always been dominated by martial arts. They look down on merchants and even more so, look down on Xiang League's business. Thus, the Xiang League rarely interacts with the people of the Blackstone Empire, because they do not pay attention to the rules. Since Marshal and His Highness trust Xianxia, then you must first agree to a condition of mine. Speak. Revise a commercial law to protect the interests of the Xiang League. Only then can we fundamentally change the situation of the 3 southern provinces, as well as the people's opinion of the Xiang League." "No problem." Lin Muyu nodded, and Qin Yin, who was beside her, also smiled and said, "The people from the Congress will discuss the drafting of this commercial law with Miss later." Xianxia's eyes brimmed with tears and she bowed deeply. "Thank you, Your Highness, thank you, Marshal, for giving me the opportunity to revitalize the Xiang League." Chapter 1176. The Shattered Cauldron realm had Jin Xiaotang, the Celestial Pole continent had Zhou Xian, and Lin Muyu knew how to make good use of people. However, it wasn't easy to formulate this commercial law. The people's level of civilization was far from meeting the requirements of the commercial law. However, there was no other way. They could only make every possible effort and reform the law first. If they didn't take this step, it would only get worse. 3 days later, the people from the Congress came. There were more than 10 people with an average age of 60 years old. Xianxia also had a headache. These elders of the Congress were best at arguing. After arguing for 3 days and 3 nights, not even half of the originally planned 50 chapters of commercial law had been drafted. On the contrary, Xianxia's eyes were red from working so hard. However, things were always like this in the world. Lin Muyu couldn't let Lulu copy the commercial law from Earth. After all, the situation was different and it needed to be adapted to the local conditions. She could only trouble Xianxia. After 7 days, the commercial law that would be implemented in the Celestial Pole continent was finally finalized. It was immediately announced to the 4 provinces and implemented immediately. All the Shang League and the Chamber of Commerce were given the green light to support the development of the commercial economy. In the blink of an eye, another month passed. The 3 major forces were still recuperating. However, as the seasons changed and the weather slowly warmed up, it seemed that the 3 forces were already rubbing their palms. The strong smell of war had already begun to spread in the Celestial Pole continent. During this time, Lin Muyu kept cultivating and looking for a way to break through. However, she still couldn't step into the God state from the Saint Heaven realm. Her strength had clearly reached it, but it seemed that she had encountered an insurmountable bottleneck. The Supreme Being personality in her body had also been sleeping and showed no signs of waking up. It was like a broken stone. During this time, 2 people obtained a demonic body and ascended to the demon god realm. One of them was the deputy commander under Yangshang, Wuchang. Wuchang was originally a perfect celestial arch with 98 heavenly caves. Now he actually obtained a second-class higher divine demon body and obtained the title Wuji Demon God. He could be said to be the #1 expert in the entire Celestial Pole continent. He was even much stronger than Zhou Xian Fillet. So much so that in Tianji City, it felt like he was trying to usurp the Lord's position. The other one was Song Liangqing of the Celestial Empire. This person was arrogant and domineering. He killed people like flies and obtained the demonic body of a 3rd-grade lower god. Although it was a demonic body of the lowest grade, he was still a demonic god without a title. This boosted the morale of the Celestial Empire. The demonic flames soared and the righteous path declined. In the end, the first upright god did not appear. Looking at the common people of the 6 realms, there was actually no one who had the qualifications to obtain the upright god's Dharma body. In the afternoon, in the small courtyard, Lin Muyu had changed into a light robe and was practicing his swordsmanship. His posture was elegant and graceful. Streaks of sword qi flew around the surrounding soil, leaving marks on the ground and severing peach branches. In a pavilion at the side, the 4 great beauties Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Chu Yao and Si Kong Yao were brewing tea and admiring the flowers. The peach blossoms in the courtyard did not bloom, but a few plum blossoms bloomed. Mu's sword technique can be considered superb, right? Tang Xiaoxi pouted and said. Yes. Qin Yin nodded. Si Kong Yao smiled and said, but no matter how strong brother is, he can't break through the shackles of the Saint Heaven realm. On the other hand, Wu Chang of the Celestial Pole continent has obtained a higher divine demon body. I really don't know how strong he is now. Yes, Longxi has already made us at a loss. That Wuji demon god is probably even more terrifying. At this time, Lin Muyu had already walked back with the Xianyuan sword in hand. She wiped her sweat and took a cup of tea from Tang Xiaoxi's hand, saying, Xiaoxi's tea art is getting more and more exquisite. Is that so? Tang Xiaoxi asked with a smile. Yes. Lin Muyu said, I heard what you said. Shi, you don't have to worry too much. The seal of the 6 realms has been broken, and demonic qi has been constantly leaking into the 6 realms just like this teapot. Look, there was originally no water in the teapot just like the 6 realms. At first there was only righteous qi and no demonic qi. However, the gate of the demonic world has opened, demonic qi has been born and demon gods have descended. At least half of the teapot needs to be filled with demonic qi to achieve balance. Only when demonic qi occupies half of the 6 realms will the heavenly Tao that belongs to the kind people appear. Yes. Tang Xiaoxi nodded as if she understood. Qin Yin said thoughtfully, "What kind of place is the Devil Realm? Sister Haiyan has been gone for so long, I don't know how she is." Lin Muyu took a deep breath and wanted to say something but stopped on second thought. She didn't know how to comfort her. After all, she had never been to the Devil Realm, so she didn't know what would happen to Xian there. The worst result was that Xian would be devoured by demonic flames the moment she entered the Devil Realm. However, there was probably an even worse result, that was, Xian would be demonized. What kind of terrible scene would that be? Xian was one of the few powerhouses in the 6 realms. If she were to become a demon god, her power would probably be enough to destroy everything, right? The only thing worth hoping for was that the kindness in the depths of Xian's heart might be able to save herself. Everyone was silent. Gurgle. Gurgle. The tea on the stove was boiling. The Devil Realm was a wasteland. Demonic flames filled the heavens and the earth, but the earth was a vast expanse. There were canyons and cracks everywhere, and huge clouds of demonic flames rose from the ground and went straight to the crack in the sky. The crack was the gap in the seal of the 6 realms, and the demonic energy entered the 6 realms in this way, beginning to dominate the laws of the 6 realms. In the horizon, rumbling lightning flashed. A resplendent scroll unfurled in the clouds, and a brand new name was imprinted on the heavenly book of demon sealing. Another person had become a demonic god. No one knew if this was a good or bad thing. Jie, a bone-chilling scream came from the decaying forest. It was a man with a stooped back and spikes growing out of his back. Strictly speaking, he could not be considered a human, but merely had the appearance of a human. He crept forward in the decaying grass like a snake, occasionally sticking out his long forked tongue. He looked up at the heavenly book of demons sealing in the sky with a look of awe and veneration. Jie, he screamed crazily again. His prey had appeared. It was under the giant tree in front of him. There was a simple man-made straw hut, and under the hut, a man wrapped in a huge leaf seemed to be resting. The spikes on his palms penetrated into the ground, reducing the sound of his crawling. He approached step by step, and his face was full of greed and excitement. With a roar, his face became extremely ferocious. His body was in the air, and his sharp claws swept towards the sleeping man, as if he wanted to tear him to pieces in an instant. Poof! The leaf was torn to pieces, but there was nothing inside. It was a fake body, there was nothing at all. He was slightly surprised. He looked up and saw a beautiful woman holding a sharp sword in her hand. Swish! The sharp sword glowed with the radiance of the moon and chopped down in a straight line. With a single strike, the man's arms were severed. Immediately after, the woman kicked him away and chased after him at lightning speed. She kicked his abdomen heavily, pinning him against a huge rock. Jie, he waved his broken arms wildly. He wanted to resist, but he was powerless. The disparity in strength was too great. The long sword slowly pierced into his chest, getting closer to his heart. His screams became even more tragic. This sword was the Qihue sword, and the woman was naturally Xian. "Tell me, where is the person who controls the devil flame?" Xian said faintly. Hiss hiss. He only screamed but did not speak. "You'd rather die than surrender?" Xian smiled evilly and continued to push the blade into his heart. "Ah!" He finally screamed, "I don't know anything. I'm just a small Mara. You won't get anything even if you kill me. You just need to tell me who is above you and where is he?" Ziyan Crack, 300 miles to the east. Devil General Ziyan, it's him. He's the one who created me. I don't know anything else. Let me go. Devil General Ziyan? Xian frowned. Suddenly she flipped her wrist and the blade pierced through his heart. "Ah!" Mara screamed, his eyes filled with unwillingness. "You said, you won't kill me. I'm just asking, I didn't say that I won't kill you just because you said it. It's all your own thinking." Xian pulled back the Qihue sword. Her eyes were cold as she said, "Good and evil cannot coexist. The devil path must die." Mara kicked a few more times and died with his head tilted. Xian looked towards the east and murmured, "Ziyan Crack. Eva, will you be there?" At this moment, a whistling sound came from behind. Balls of devil chi were rushing towards them. "Humph, it's here again." Xian smiled coldly. As soon as she finished speaking, she turned around and stabbed the Qihue sword into the rock stratum. It pierced through the rock stratum quickly and she leaped into the rock stratum. She raised her hand to seal the entrance of the cave. The whistling sound came from above. She had to preserve her divine power so that she wouldn't be devoured by the devil Qi. What made Xian feel fortunate was that because she entered the devil world, she wasn't punished by the heavens. She still maintained her great perfection divine emperor cultivation. However, the power of the laws had weakened and her light divine power was slightly weaker than before. Xian's body trembled slightly when she heard the whistling sound from above. She was a god, but she wasn't omnipotent. Facing the absolute power of the devil world, she would also feel fear. Eva, you're definitely not dead, right? You're definitely not dead. I believe you. I will find you, she murmured to herself. Looking at the darkness around her, she sighed softly and said, Xin and you. I hope you're all right. I'm sorry I can't protect you for the time being. 8 Wastelands World. The lightning vines in the blood clouds formed a huge tree that reached the sky. At the core of the tree a person was imprisoned. It was the 7 luminaries demon emperor. The demon emperor had his eyes closed. He had aged a lot. His eyebrows and hair were mottled with white. However, he didn't age because his divine power had disappeared. Instead, it was because his divine power had been exhausted. The mysterious power in the lightning vines seemed to have a lingering function. It retained the demon emperor's cultivation so that his divine power wouldn't disappear with the heaven's punishment. In this case, the demon emperor's divine power could provide an endless source of power for the demonic vines. However, the demon emperor's name wasn't recorded in the heavenly melody scroll of the Mahayana heavenly path. He was just a useless god. Look, he's the 7 luminaries demon emperor, the ruler who once shook the 6 realms. Yes, it's him. A group of Mara appeared in the sky with their wings flapping. They held shiny knives and forks in their hands. They were in charge of guarding the 7 luminaries demon emperor. Their daily routine was to mock him. The demon emperor slowly opened his eyes. His eyes were as unruly as before. He smiled coldly. What do you want to do with my divine power? The Mara laughed. One of them used a metal fork to poke the stone body of the demon emperor. Have you heard of the God-destroying pagoda? God-destroying pagoda. Yes. The Mara laughed cruelly. It's the God-destroying pagoda. It's the ultimate godly weapon of the demon realm. With your power as the source, once the Mahayana heavenly path's main gods appear, the God-destroying pagoda will kill them one by one. Ah! The demon emperor fell silent as flames of fury burst forth from his eyes. Mother of Astersker. Chapter 1177. The star universe was silent. Strands of demonic flames flowed into the 6 realms from the gap in the seal. This time, along with the appearance of the demonic flames, there were also jie sounds that sounded like the mournful cries of vengeful spirits. Amidst the purple clouds, heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals, holding various kinds of weapons, descended from the sky. Each of them had the power of a demon god, and their eyes were filled with ferocity and viciousness. Mara, the demon world, finally made a move. Under the situation where the god-sealing demon book could cover the sky with one hand, the densely packed Mara army surged into the 6 realms. Roar, roar, roar. The Mara all had different shapes and sizes, but they were all indescribably ugly. Their bodies were covered with scales and spikes, and their ugly eyeballs were rolling around. Stepping on the demonic flames, they came to the 6 realms. Suddenly, all of them stopped and waved their weapons towards the back. It was bustling as if they were welcoming some important person. The demonic flames became denser and denser and the clouds rolled away. A person stepped on the air, riding on a ferocious tiger-like beast. In his hand was a war hammer that was suffused with blood-red flames. He wore black armor and his body was sturdy. Even his face was covered by an iron helmet. A pair of piercingly cold eyes looked at the Mara army in front of him through the gaps of the iron helmet. Suddenly, he raised his arm and growled, "Brats, tell me, which one should we start conquering the 6 realms first?" The Maras roared, but no one knew what to say. One of the Mara, carrying a bow and arrow, stepped forward on the demonic clouds and said, "Lord Demon General Theron, among the 6 realms, only the 8 Wastelands world still has spiritual energy. The last pillar of the Bahuang pillar is supported by the 7 luminaries demon emperor. If it wasn't for him, I'm afraid that the heavenly sound scroll of the Mahayana heavenly Tao wouldn't have the chance to enter the 6 realms. Why don't we destroy the 8 Wastelands world first, and kill all the crippled gods that are still in the heaven realm?" 7 luminaries demon emperor? Smoke puffed out of Theron's nose and mouth as he laughed. Zhou? Before I came here, the Holy King and Holy Emperor of the Demon Realm have already told me that the 7 luminaries demon emperor can't be killed. The supremacy in his body is still useful, and we need him to continuously supply the power of the god-slaying pagoda. As long as the 7 luminaries demon emperor is here, the god-slaying pagoda will be able to beat the fake Mahayana heavenly Tao into submission. Yes. Then, where should we attack now? Men, flip through the heavenly book and see where there are the most demon gods. That's where we will establish our foothold. A cold sneer could be seen in Theron's eyes as he said, since the demon realm has sent me to be the vanguard, I will have to destroy a region first to provide a foothold for the demon realm to enter the 6 realms. Yes. Mara quickly summoned the demon sealing heavenly book, and the names of the demon gods flashed through the purple book in the air. Finally, this Mara stooped and said, Lord Demon General, the planes of the 6 realms have produced a total of more than 600 demon gods. Among them, the celestial pole continent has the most demon gods. There are as many as 5, and one of them has obtained a demon body of a 2nd-tier higher god. 2nd-tier higher god? Interesting. Theron smiled and his eyes were cold as he said, then let's do it this way. Pass down my order. The 20,000 Vanguard Mara will be divided into 10 teams. One team of 2,000 Mara will follow me to the celestial pole continent, and the rest will spread out and head to the 4 great celestial realms to kill those fallen gods who have yet to submit to the demon realm. Yes. Streams of light spread out from the star universe dome. Gold. Looking at the brilliant celestial river in the distance, the people on top of the gold could no longer sit still. Fuxi sat cross-legged and looked into the distance with a bleak gaze. He was neither sad nor happy, and his sleeves fluttered in the strong wind brought by the celestial river. Miue, who was at the side, could no longer sit still. She stood up and said, Master, you must have seen it too. We can't continue sitting like this. The demon realm has already made a move. That demon general called Theron is going after little junior brother. I saw it, Fuxi said leisurely. Miu, you are the most impatient. What do you think we should do? Miue pursed her red lips and said, each Mara's strength is comparable to that of a 3rd-tier lower god. Once 2,000 Mara enter the celestial pole continent, how can little junior brother's mortal army resist them? Moreover, there is still demon general Theron. Although Theron is only a lowly demon general, little junior brother is definitely no match for him. Are you going to block the way and kill those Mara? Fuxi asked. Yes. Miue held the sword beside her and said, as long as Master gives the order, I will immediately go and kill them. Even if I can't kill all of those Mara, at least I can let the demon realm know that the gods of the 6 realms are not all dead. Then what about the other 10 Maras? Fuxi said indifferently, you only want to save you, but you have never thought about those mortals who are staying in the celestial realm. There are hundreds of thousands of fallen gods in the 4 great celestial realms. They have the title of gods, but they are just mortals. Can they resist the invasion of Mara? You only think about little junior brother, but you have forgotten the justice of the Mahayana heavenly way. Miue blinked her bright eyes and tightened her grip on the sword. I cultivate the Taishu law of the heavens beyond heaven, not the Mahayana heavenly way. Even if I really cultivate the Mahayana heavenly way, I will only cultivate the law of, if others don't offend me, I will not offend them. Whoever dares to bully my little junior brother, I will make them look bad. What do you think, Master? Fuxi couldn't help but laugh. Miue, I can't win against you in an argument, but the Dark Servant might be coming soon. Its attacks are getting more frequent and stronger, and the formation the 5 of us can't be left out. So, I will give the 4 of you 2 hours. You must return to the Jin Kingdom within 2 hours. As for how many Maras you can kill and which Maras to kill, it will depend on your intentions. The difference between gods and mortals is kindness. As long as you have kindness, it doesn't matter what you do. Yes. Miue was overjoyed, and the sword in her hand also seemed to be happy. She said to the other 3, I will go to the Eastern Heaven Realm and kill Theron, who is bullying little junior brother. Senior Fanyong, you go to the Western Heaven Realm. Junior Luanxing, you go to the Northern Heaven Realm. Junior Haochen, you go to the Southern Heaven Realm. What do you think? There's no other way. How can we not follow the mission that second senior sister has given us? Haochen smiled. Luanxing and Fanyong also smiled. In the Eastern Heaven Realm, Beams of light were shuttling through the universe at high speed, heading straight for the celestial pole continent. They were very fast, reaching the celestial pole continent in less than half a day. But it wasn't fast enough. Hua! A piercingly cold force rippled through the universe, and the hundreds of Maras who were charging at the front all crashed into a void wall. Bang, 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 sounds rang out incessantly, and more than half of the hundreds of people instantly turned into fiery red flowers, disappearing into thin air. The fragments of their corpses turned into sparks and scattered in the universe. Be careful. The devil general Theron, who was at the front, hurriedly pulled on the reins, and the battle tiger he was riding on let out a furious roar, stopping in midair. In front of him, the void wall slowly glowed with light, transforming into a huge Taishu 8 trigrams constellation, and in the center of the constellation, a beautiful woman holding a long sword floated over. With a faint smile on her face she said, "Dregs of the devil world, where are you going?" Theron's gaze was ice cold. "Who are you? Why are you blocking our way here?" "I'm Miue, the second disciple of great Emperor Fuxi." Fuxi's disciple. Theron's body trembled slightly and he said, "What do you mean by this? Are you openly challenging the devil world?" "Miue, even if you're Fuxi's disciple, don't think that we're afraid of you. The devil world's army is gathering, and if you openly oppose us, I don't need to say more about your fate, right?" Miue slowly pulled out her sharp sword and her beautiful eyes were filled with coldness. "In this life I hate people who threaten me the most." Hong. Invisible waves of air rippled out, and her body turned into a beam of light rushing towards Theron. She actually took the initiative to attack. No one would have thought that this seemingly delicate beauty would take the initiative to attack first. She was simply too fierce. A piercingly cold energy storm erupted in the starry sky. It was Theron's warhammer colliding with Miue's sharp sword. It was just a simple strike, but Theron was so shaken that he almost fell off the back of the war tiger, and black blood spurted out of his mouth. A red sword mark appeared on the warhammer, and if it wasn't for the fact that the warhammer was big enough, it would have been cut in half by Miue's sword. Miue floated in midair and her temperament was elegant and she smiled faintly. "It seems that the devil world's gods aren't that great after all. You guys have plotted for so long and finally took advantage of Tian Fa to start a rebellion, but I don't think you guys will succeed, hee." "None of your business." Theron roared and he waved his warhammer and instantly, a piercingly cold flame storm appeared in the sky, directly blasting towards Miue. So fierce. Miue held her sword with one hand and with the other she casually waved it in front of her. Suddenly, a wave of Taishu power dissolved the storm Theron had created, and Miue threw a punch in the air. Ping. The armor in front of Theron's chest shattered, and a small fist mark went deep into the armor. One could even faintly hear the sound of bones breaking. Wah! Theron spat out a mouthful of blood and he held his warhammer as he retreated. He roared, "What are you waiting for? Mara, go and kill her. The rest of you follow me to the celestial pole continent and leave this place." Immediately hundreds of Mara swarmed forward. Miue gripped her sharp sword tightly and fearlessly went up to meet them. Suddenly, sword chi flew in the sky and the screams of Mara could be heard. Compared to Miue's cultivation, these Mara were like ants. However, Theron also took this opportunity to quickly leave on his war tiger, leading hundreds of Mara directly in the direction of the celestial pole continent. Clang! The sharp sword cut off the handle of an axe, and Mara was cut into a blooming flower of fire. Miue's body spun rapidly and an arc of sword chi swept out. Almost all of the Mara around her were killed, but at the same time, a virtual image appeared above her head. It was Fuxi. "Shiming is coming. Come back." "But Master, Mara hasn't killed all of them yet." "This is fate. I'll give you all time. Come back immediately. Otherwise, once Shiming devours Jean, even the gods of the realm beyond heaven won't be able to save the situation." "Yes." Miue looked at the starlight behind her unwillingly and said faintly, "Little junior brother, senior sister can only help you this much. Please take care." Chapter 1178. In the 8 Desolates province, the mountains were covered in snow. The snow continued to fall tirelessly, causing people to wonder if it was still spring. On the snowy ground a person was walking. He was dressed in a white robe and held a long staff made of dragon bones in his hand. His eyes were fixed on a cave in front of him. Over there, A nest of rabbits was already rumbling with hunger because they had not eaten for a long time. They were about to die. Tianfa, the punishment of all living beings. The long winter was still not over. Nothing could live, and this nest of rabbits was just one of the countless victims. The old man was silent. He flipped his palm lightly, and instantly the snow on the ground beside him flew up. Wisps of withered grass seemed to be attracted and gathered in his hand. In the blink of an eye, a bundle of withered grass appeared in his hand. He crawled to the side of the cave and handed the withered grass into it. The nest of rabbits did not seem to be afraid at all and went forward to eat it. There was not a trace of violence on the old man's body. Even the small animals could feel the peaceful aura from him. Naturally, this was not a stranger. It was Chu Chu. Chu Chu had lived in seclusion in the mountains for many years and did not care about the affairs of the world. However, he had always been watching Tianfa. He also knew that there was a war between humans happening in the distance, and the initiators were Lin Muyu and Qinin. However, Chu Chu could not help them. There was no justice in this war. Chu Chu pitted all living beings. If he participated in the war, it would obviously go against his original intention. If he became a pawn of the war, then he would not be Chu Chu. At this moment, streams of light suddenly flew past above his head and directly fell into the forest in the distance. Although Chu Chu had lost his divine power, he could still sense those powerful auras. There were at least thousands of auras appearing in the Broken Cauldron world. Moreover, these auras were extremely evil and incomparably ruthless. The only explanation for the Devil Dao was the Devil Dao. Not too far away, Chu Chu carried his staff and dashed over. When he arrived, he found that the entire forest had been destroyed. The appearance of these Mara was like a meteor, exploding a deep pit in the ground. It was unknown how many innocent lives had been lost because of this. Roar. The battle tiger beneath Demon General Theron let out an angry roar. The roar stirred up a wave of air that blew away the accumulated snow. At this time, Theron had already discovered Chu Chu's presence. His eyes were cold as he smiled. "Old man, where did you come from?" Chu Chu didn't say a word. He just stood there indifferently with the help of his walking stick. "What? Can't you hear what I'm saying?" Theron sneered and said, "Tell me quickly, who are you? Why are you in this wilderness?" Moro at the side laughed and said, "Lord Demon General, this old man might be a mute. Why bother with him? Just let this lowly one slaughter him with a single slash. He seems to have some ability." At this time Chu Chu said, "This is the Broken Cauldron world. What are you doing here?" "Doing what?" Theron's mouth was full of a sinister smile. He spurred the battle tiger towards Chu Chu and said, "What else can I do? Raise this place to the ground. These 6 realms will soon be the territory of the devil world. Aren't you taking off your pants to fart by asking such a question?" Chu Chu couldn't help but frown and sigh. It seems that before the war is over, another wave has arisen. "Are you an idiot, old man? What nonsense are you talking about?" Theron shouted in a low voice, "Get over here immediately and tell me where the demon gods of this world are. Also, who are the enemies of the demon gods?" Chu Chu laughed and said, "A bunch of hypocrites. Motherf ***, I'll let you act all high and mighty again." With a roar, Theron spurred his battle tiger forward like a bolt of lightning, sweeping his flaming warhammer towards Chu Chu's body. He had used at least 50% of his strength in this attack. He was already planning to kill Chu Chu in one blow. However, what Theron didn't expect was that this attack actually missed. With a swoosh, Chu Chu's body instantly turned into flying snow and merged with the surrounding snow as if he had never appeared. "Huh." Theron's eyes were cold. "What kind of crafty technique is this? Where is he?" One of the Mara said, "Lord Demon General, I heard that the people of the 6 realms cultivate a variety of martial arts. They are much more cunning than the simple demonic flame that we cultivate. This old man might just be in existence similar to a warlock. Let's not bother about him and find Wuji demon god Wu Chong first." "Do you know where Wu Chong is?" "Yes, Wu Chong is from the Yangshang Empire. He must be in Tianji City. According to the Demon Realm Compass, Tianji City is about 2,000 miles to the east of us. We can reach there overnight." "Okay, lead the way. Let's go and see Wu Chong." "Yes." After Theron and the others left, a figure slowly condensed in the whistling wind and snow. It was Chu Chu. He sighed and muttered to himself, "When will the demonic path stop running amok?" I must inform you about these things as soon as possible so that he can be prepared. As he spoke, Chu opened his palm gently and said, Lin Muyu's servant Lulu appear. In the jungle, a buzzing sound appeared. An inconspicuous scout bee landed in Chu's hand. With a swoosh, he contacted Lin Muyu with a laser imaging. Lin Muyu was holding a military meeting at night. She couldn't help but be stunned. Chu, is that you? It's me. Chu said solemnly, Greetings, Your Highness Yin and Princess Shi. Chu, you don't have to be so courteous. Qin Yin smiled and nodded beside Lin Muyu. Chu, since you took the initiative to contact us, there must be something, right? Lin Muyu asked. Yes. Chu said, the people from the demon realm have already entered the mortal world. You have to be careful. They have about 1,000 demon gods. The leader is called Theron. He rides a demon tiger and his strength is unfathomable. Those pawns are also very strong. They can use divine power. They will definitely find trouble with you. Be careful. I am already considered half a cripple. I can't help you much. Chu has already helped a lot. Then take care. I will take my leave. Goodbye, Chu. After the scout bee flew away, Lin Muyu's mood became more and more solemn. At the side, Wei Chou, Situ Sin, Si Kongyao, Situ Shui, Lu Bai and the rest also looked at each other. It's fine if the demon gods like Wu Chong and Longxi appeared, but now a group of demon gods from the demon realm have also appeared. They are really troublesome. Wei Chou frowned. Lin Muyu frowned and said to the communication device, Lulu, inform Feng Jixing of this news. Got it, brother. Lulu was always there. What do we do now? Si Kongyao asked. We can't lose our composure. Do what you have to do. But be careful of their sudden assassination. Yes. At dawn, the sky above Tianji Palace was fluttering with light snow. A group of Mara walked straight in from outside the palace. No one dared to stop them. And in the middle of the crowd was Demon General Theron, who was riding on a war tiger. Dang dang dang. The bell in the palace rang. Yangshang, Wu Chong, Longxi and the rest as well as the civil and military officials came out to welcome them. Yangshang was wearing a dragon robe. He stood on the stairs with a dignified look and said respectfully, The Lord of the Kingdom of Shang, Yangshang, pays respect to Lord Demon God. You're Yangshang? Theron urged the war tiger and walked up the stairs without fear. Then his eyes fell on Wu Chong and said, You are Wuji Demon God? Yes. Wu Chong was a calm and steady person. He cupped his fist and said, Greetings to Lord Demon God. You don't have to be so polite. Theron said lightly, I am Theron, the commander of the Demon Realm's Vanguard Army. And you are the Wuji Demon God recognized by the Book of Sealing Demon. You control the law of darkness and have a higher position than me. But, you are not the real demon god after all. You still need some tests. Wu Chong smiled slightly. I know. This was an extremely common logic. Even if Wu Chong was stronger than Theron, so what? Theron represented the demon realm while Wu Chong was just a demon god in the mortal world. Their positions were still different. Yangshang was a little embarrassed by Xian Bing and said, May I know why Lord Theron has come to the mortal world this time? Theron turned around and looked at Yangshang. Yangshang, are your country and your army willing to pledge allegiance to the demon realm? What does Lord mean? Hee. Theron laughed. It's very simple. If you are willing to pledge allegiance, then you are all the people of the demon realm. I will naturally treat you well. If you are not willing, then you are the enemy of the demon realm. I will lead the Mara army to slaughter you all. Yangshang only thought for 3 seconds and said respectfully, I am willing to lead all the people of the kingdom of Shang to pledge allegiance to the demon realm. Good. Theron smiled with satisfaction. Now tell me, who is the enemy of the demon realm? Qin Tianjua Lin Muyu Qinyu. Yangshang said word by word. Who is stronger? Qin Lin Muyu. Good. Theron raised his warhammer and said, All Mara listen up. Be ready to attack at any time to kill Lin Muyu. Long live the demon realm. The group of Mara screamed madly. Wu Chong, Yangshang, Longxi and Filei were all stunned. The people of the demon realm seemed to be a bunch of lunatics. In the demon realm within the purple flame rift, a winged Mara was flying up and down, patrolling around. Inside the rift was the demonic flame lava that surged like a river. That was something that the people of the demon realm loved the most. Almost all the gods of the demon realm would absorb demonic power from the demonic flame lava to cultivate their own cultivation. Next to the lava, ugly demon soldiers crazily devoured the lava. They screamed miserably from the heat, but they still devoured it greedily. These demon soldiers had the lowest status in the demon world. Mo Luo was like a god to them because demon soldiers were not real gods. They were just pawns. Mo Luo was the first stage of a demon god. As the group of demon soldiers devoured the lava, a figure flashed above them like lightning. They didn't even notice it. Xian finally came. Chapter 1179. A row of Mara troops slowly patrolled the cave. They were responsible for the safety of the residence of the devil general Ziyan, and this devil's cave was also the residence of Ziyan. In the devil world, the devil's flames were rampant, and the environment outside was so harsh that even the powerful devil general could only find such a cave to rest. There were more than 30 Mara in total, and each of them had cold eyes and stooped bodies, breathing heavily. But just as this group of Mara was patrolling the cave as usual, suddenly an invisible aura rippled out. It was the domain of God, and they were completely unable to move. They couldn't even shout. The next moment, a beautiful figure descended from the sky. It was Xian. She didn't say much, and the light divine power in her palms slowly pressed down. The bodies of the Mara could not withstand the heavy pressure of the domain, and one by one they exploded and blood flowed everywhere. Xian didn't stop at all. She leaped and flew into the depths of the cave. Over there, a powerful aura had already been detected because of her killing, and the aura was constantly rising. Swoosh. The agile figure shot into the depths of the cave like an arrow into a dense forest. The next second, Xian was already standing straight on the giant rock on the left side of the hall at the end of the cave, and a pair of beautiful eyes looked disdainfully at the person on the throne. That person had long purple-red hair, a ferocious steel mask on his face, and a long sword glowing with red flames was placed beside him. He looked at Xian silently as if he had already known that she would come. On the side, dozens of Mara were all shocked and they raised their weapons and rushed over. Stop. The devil general Ziyan spoke, and his voice was like a ghost's roar from purgatory. She is mine, no one can snatch her from me. All of you back off, there is no place for you to intervene here. The crowd of Mara roared wildly, but they kept holding their weapons and retreated according to the order, watching from afar. You are Ziyan? Xian asked. That's right, I am Ziyan. Ziyan looked up at Xian and said, your breath is very strong. You should be a survivor from the 6 realms. If I were you, I would find a hole to hide in and live for a while longer. Instead of coming to the demon realm to seek death like a moth flying into the fire, Xian held the Chiwe sword in her hand and smiled indifferently. Stop dreaming. You are no match for me with your abilities. Can't you feel it? Of course I can, but so what? Ziyan sneered. Do you dare to kill me? As long as you kill me, the news will immediately spread to every corner of the devil world, and there will be even more experts of the devil world coming to kill you. I'm just a mere devil general. Above me there are still the Holy King, the Holy Emperor, and the Supreme of the devil world. They are not people you can fight against. Cut the crap. I don't want to kill you. I just want to ask you something. Say it. Ziyan secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Xian said, where is Eva? Eva? Who is that? Ziyan was startled. The blazing angel who guards the 6 realms seal, my sister. She has been swallowed by the devil flame. Tell me, is Eva in the devil world? Has she been taken away by you? Xian was a little emotional. I don't know. Ziyan said, the devil world's army that participated in breaking the 6 realms seal did not include me, and with my strength I am not qualified to participate in the war against the 6 realms. I think you are asking the wrong person. How dare you? Xian shouted, and the 6 wings behind her spread out. Her aura was so cold that Ziyan and all the other Mara squatted down in fear. How could they withstand the sharpness of the blazing angel? Xian's bright eyes were filled with killing intent. The devil world swallowed Eva. Do you dare to say that you, a devil general, have no idea? Ziyan knelt on the ground trembling, but his palm gently moved to the long sword beside him. Do you want to resist? Xian's eyes were burning. The power of her domain quickly revolved and shot towards the ground like a white flame. In an instant, it actually melted Ziyan's weapon into a pool of molten iron. Xian's strength was so deep that it was terrifying. Ziyan's heart beat violently. This woman was not human at all. Ziyan wanted to explain but didn't know where to start. The Chiwe sword in Xian's hand slowly hummed. She sneered and said, "I'll give you one last chance. Tell me, where is Eva? If you don't, I will make you evaporate along with this hole of yours." Ziyan trembled and finally compromised. He said to the group of Mara, "All of you get out. No one is allowed to come in without my order." Immediately. "Yes, Lord Devil General." Mara and the others quickly left. Ziyan looked up at Xian and said, "I can tell you, but you must promise not to kill me. Only you won't kill me." "Yes, I mean what I say," said Xian. Ziyan took a deep breath and said, "Eva was indeed devoured by the demonic flames. However, her cultivation was very high and her divinity protected her body automatically, so she wasn't completely devoured and disintegrated. Therefore, although her body was burned, her spirit and fate seeped into her broken sword. The demon world sent a large number of troops to the 6 realms and retrieved the broken sword in which Eva's fate resided. This broken sword is now in the Fekta Temple." Fekta Temple? What's that place? The Fekta Temple. That's the heart of the demon world. It's the palace of the 10,000 Demon Emperor, one of the 4 holy emperors. Not only is the demon emperor guarded by the 10,000 holy kings, but also the 10,000 demon emperors. Why did they bring Eva's fate to the Fekta Temple? Asked Xian with a frown. Ziyan shook his head. "Given my status, I don't have the right to know, but I heard that Eva's fate is the fate of a perfect god and is extremely precious. Therefore, the demon emperor plans to use Eva's fate as a source of power to speed up the awakening of the god-destroying pagoda." God-destroying pagoda? Xian already had a bad feeling. What is the god-destroying pagoda? Tell me. Ziyan laughed bitterly. "The more I say, the more I can't turn back." "Of course you can't turn back. Tell me." The god-destroying pagoda is the #1 divine weapon in the demon realm. It is said to be able to destroy gods and Buddhas. It is extremely powerful and can reflect the power of the entire demon realm. In other words, a single attack from the god-destroying pagoda uses the power of the entire demon realm. No god can go against the god-destroying pagoda. However, the god-destroying pagoda was destroyed in a fierce battle many years ago. The holy emperors of the later generations spent many years to repair the god-destroying pagoda, but it requires an extremely vast amount of divine power to awaken the pagoda spirit. It is said that the 7 luminaries demon emperors will provide at least 60% of the power for the awakening of the god-destroying pagoda. The remaining 40% will depend on Eva's fate. If that is not enough, the 4 holy emperors will think of other ways. At this point, Ziyan could not help but take another look at Xian. "I know you. You are the blazing angel Xian, one of the strongest people in the Western divine realm. You are very lucky to still have divine power. However, let me give you a piece of advice. Hurry up and leave. Don't try to go against the 4 holy emperors. You are no match for them. If you go to the Fekta Temple, you will just be walking into a trap and sacrificing yourself as a source of power for the god-destroying pagoda." Xian frowned slightly. "Is the god-destroying pagoda really that powerful?" "It is more than powerful." Ziyan smiled faintly and said, "I heard from the ancestors of the devil realm that no matter if it is the Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal or the ancient Buddhas, almost no one can withstand a blow from the god-destroying tower. Even if it is the sky beyond heaven such as Pangdu the Great Emperor, I am afraid that they cannot withstand a blow from the god-destroying tower. Do you know how Theodore, the former king of the Northern Divine Realm, died? That's right, a simple attack from the god-destroying pagoda destroyed Theodore's body and soul. Think about how powerful Theodore was back then. Who in the 4 divine realms could go against him?" Xian could not help but be stunned. She had heard of Theodore's name before. However, the ancient books only recorded that this powerful god had suddenly disappeared. Many people assumed that he had ascended to the supreme divine realm beyond the heavens. However, they did not know that he had actually died. "All right, let me ask you one more question." "Go ahead. Why do you want to tell me everything about the god-destroying pagoda?" Xian asked faintly. Ziyan knelt on the ground and laughed bitterly. "If I say it, you must promise not to laugh." "All right, go ahead." Ziyan coughed in a serious manner. Little stars began to twinkle in his eyes. He stared straight at Xian and said, "Although I am a demon god, I have been righteous and kind since I was born. Isn't there an old saying in the primordial realm of desolation? Humans are born kind. The reason why I told you so much is because I want to be a good person. Oh no, I want to be a good demon. Xian still burst into laughter. You said you wouldn't laugh. Ziyan glared. Alright, I won't laugh. Xian waved her hand. Actually, I had planned to kill you and your subordinates after asking you this question. However, because of what you said, I have decided to let you go. As she spoke, Xian turned around and was already prepared to leave. Wait. Ziyan stood up. Lady Xian, are you really going to the Fecta temple? Yes, I have no other choice. Xian said indifferently. Firstly, I can't let Eva die like this. Secondly, since I know the secret of the god-destroying pagoda, I can't just stand by and watch it awaken and kill the righteous gods. Thirdly, since I'm here, I don't plan on going back alive. Eva isn't your biological sister. Why do you want to sacrifice tens of thousands of years of cultivation? You don't understand. You are a demon. You don't understand friendship. No, I want to understand. Ziyan knelt again and said, Lady Xian, if you trust me, Ziyan, I am willing to bring you to the Fecta temple and help you resurrect Lady Eva's spirit. Aren't you afraid of death? Yes, but I want to be a good person. Oh no, a good demon. Do you think I will trust you? Ziyan said confidently, as you said, you have no other choice. If you trust me, you might have a chance to save Lady Eva. If you don't trust me, you will only be going to the Fecta temple to die. You don't even know where the god-destroying pagoda is, or where the broken sword where Lady Eva's spirit is. Furthermore, why don't you trust me? Although the demons are evil, they are not deceitful. We always do bad things to the end. We will not pretend to do bad things and then tell others that we are a good demon. Stop talking nonsense and go on your way. Yes. ZM was overjoyed. Chapter 1180. Xishan Province, Shiping Prefecture. Heavy snow was falling endlessly. In the meeting hall, everyone was a little nervous. Feng Jixing sat on the commander's seat, holding an edict in his hand and said, Her Highness Yin's edict orders that all the generals above the rank of captaincy of the Great Qin Empire in Xishan Province must immediately disappear. How do we disappear? Xiangyu was stunned. Think of a way yourself. Disguise and live in seclusion are all ways. Ding Shi frowned and said, We have hundreds of thousands of men and horses in our hands. Why should we be afraid of a few insignificant Mara? Feng Jixing took a deep breath and said, Because Lin General said that Mara does not belong to the mortal world. They are demons. The opponent that is truly worthy of them is a god. However, we do not have a god, so we use mortal soldiers to fight against demons. This is unfair to the soldiers. Perhaps 300,000 soldiers can kill these Mara, but to injure 1,000 enemy we will lose 800 men. Therefore, Lin General ordered that we are not allowed to use mortal soldiers to fight against Mara. Qian Feng squinted his eyes and said, Lin General and Her Highness Yin are indeed wise. That Theron led 1,000 Mara into Tianji Palace, presumably they will work for Yangshang. Therefore, their next step will definitely be to kill the leader of the Qin Empire because assassination is the fastest and most convenient way to end a war. In this way, everyone here will be in danger. We must learn to hide ourselves to preserve our strength. Yes. Feng Jixing nodded and said, I have already made arrangements. The ventilation in the cellar of the Imperial Garden is not bad. It can also provide food for half a year. From today onwards, those who are willing to live in the cellar with me can go together. As for the defense of Xishan Province, leave it to the generals outside. Our meeting hall will temporarily stop working. Do you all understand? Yes. Ding Shi and Qian Feng nodded in unison. But Qin Yan frowned and said, General Feng, we're the main force. If we lay low and don't come out, the outside world will spread. The spearheads of those fiend world's gods will definitely point at Big Brother and Cousin. What should we do? This morning, Dragon Rider has already sent the Wind Origin Stone Senior Luo Tianji and his treasures to Red Rock City. I'm sure you already has a way to deal with it. We don't have to ask anymore. Yes. Feng Jixing looked at everyone again and said, Take a breath of fresh air. 2 hours later, all of you will enter the invisible state. Yes, Deputy Commander. Red Rock City Marshal's Mansion. Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Wei Chou, Feng Zhanlin, Wei Chou Zhulong and the others were all present. A group of people surrounded a small sand table. On the sand table wasn't a map of Red Rock City, but a small walled city. The scale wasn't big, almost the same size as the courtyard of an official's residence. It was just that the walls were slightly higher. What's this? Wei Chou was dumbfounded. Lin Muyu said, Zhang Family Fortress. It's the courtyard of a rich man in Red Rock City, 20 miles north of the city. The walls are 10 meters high and 3 meters thick. It's surrounded by dense forests and the environment is pretty good. The air is fresh and there are mountains and rivers. Rich man Zhang often brings some women to the fortress to stay and vacation. It's said that this fortress can defend against mountain bandits and is famous far and wide. And then, Tang Xiaoxi squinted her beautiful eyes and asked with a smile. So I want to bring you and Xiaoyin for a vacation, hee. Lin Muyu laughed. Wei Chou, Situ Sin and the others coughed. Qin Yin blushed. Seriously? All right, but I still want to go to Zhang Family Fortress for a vacation. Lin Muyu held the edge of the sand table and said, 2 days ago, rich man Zhang offered this fortress to me under the invitation of the military police camp. I also sent some soldiers to Zhang Family Fortress to repair the walls and buildings. From today onwards we will be living in Zhang Family Fortress. Wei Chou was stunned, but Your Excellency, the Mara army led by Theron may come at any time. Even masters like Wu Chong, Filei and Longxi may come together to carry out the assassination. You and Her Highness are important figures of the Qin Empire. You can't go out of the defense range of the Longdan army camp, otherwise. Wei Chou, don't say it. Lin Muyu said softly, I won't let the soldiers of the Longdan army camp fight against the devil for me. It's too selfish. I just want the whole world to know that I live in Zhang Family Fortress with Xiaoyin and Xiaoxi. I want to build this fortress into a palace in the shortest time so that people like Theron and Wu Chong will come to trouble me. Nangong Lai took a deep breath. Leader, what are you going to do? Sidusan also said, Yes, Your Excellency. Can a palace fight against more than 1,000 devil gods? How will we know if we don't try? Lin Muyu smiled and pointed at the Zhang Family Fortress on the sand table, saying, I have ordered to use bell-absorbing rocks to pave the stone floor around the fortress, so that the devil gods will lose the ability to break the void around the Zhang Family Fortress. In addition, Senior Luo Tianji must bury wind stone around the fortress. The wind saw is the weapon to stop and kill Mara. Wei Chou said, but the wind saw can't kill all of Mara. Once they break through the wind saw, how will we deal with them? Lin Muyu stretched out her hand and pressed on the side of the fortress, saying, Build 4 turrets around the fortress. They must be sturdy and install a deicide cannon on each of them. In addition, build around 24 arrow turrets along the inner walls. Place 20 godly archers on each arrow turret and equip them with devil heart white drill arrows. As long as they have enough arm strength, killing Mara will not be a problem. These can only deal with the threat from the sky for a short period of time. What will happen once the devil gods land? Wei Chou looked worried. Don't worry. Lin Muyu pointed at the ground inside the fortress and said, There will be traps installed here. There will be 2 giant mechanical beasts lying in ambush. Zilong. The Zilong has wind stone installed on its body and its power is extraordinary. Even people at the level of Longxi and Filei may not be able to gain the upper hand against the Zilong's attack. To think that back in the 64 domains, I also suffered a loss from the Zilong because of my poor cultivation. Are these mechanical beasts really that powerful? Situ Sin was interested. Luo Tianji twirled his beard and smiled. Does General Situ want to try? The surface of the Zilong is tempered with hard iron and cannot be penetrated by swords and sabers. On the inside, the wind stone is controlling its power. The attacks launched will carry the divine power stored in the stone. Situ Sen's mouth twitched. Then forget it. I concede defeat. Lin Muyu said, That's it. The 2 Zilong will be the main attacking and defending forces. At this time, with Wei Chou's Ho Yi Bao, we can more or less ensure that there is nothing to worry about. Even if they break through the Zilong's line of defense, we still have... What else? Wei Chou looked curious. There's still the flying fish deity. Lin Muyu smiled faintly. These piranhas are very powerful. They will definitely be able to hold back these demon gods. Whether it is Theron or Wu Chong, these people should not have seen the Zilong flying fish deity and so on. Moreover, we need to continue digging the underground tunnels under the fortress and cover them with white drill arrows. In addition, we still have the heavenly book in our hands. Even if the Wuji demon god Wu Chong comes in, we will make him suffer. In the end, the more information Lin Muyu revealed, the more relieved everyone was. It seemed that fighting against the demon gods was not impossible. It all depended on whether they were willing to give it their all. Wei Chou frowned and said, although Sir's plan is already very thorough, digging the tunnels and building the turrets all require time. It will definitely not be completed within 2 to 3 days. Sir, don't worry. Lin Muyu said in a low voice, I have received a secret report. After the Kingdom of Shang suffered a series of crushing defeats in West Mountain Province and Red Cliff Province, the border is no longer stable. 3 days ago, the barbarian tribes in the north of Tianji Province attacked the border. These barbarians are so strong that they even annihilated an army of 2,000 people. Therefore, Yangshang has already requested Theron's Mara army to quell the rebellion. I believe that Yangshang must want to personally witness Mara's strength before deciding whether or not to make a move against us. Qin Yin's pair of starry eyes were smiling. She said, let's not talk about the distance, it will also take time to quell the rebellion. We have at least 10 days to prepare. In 10 days we can mobilize a large amount of manpower and it will be enough to rebuild the Zhang family fortress. Yes, this subordinate will mobilize the Longdan army camp to build the fortress. This matter doesn't need to be a secret. Remember to collect antiques, paintings and strange stones from the surrounding cities and counties and move them into the summer residence. The bigger the news, the more determined Yangshang will be to make a move. Yes. Lin Muyu coughed and said, I think the movement might not be big enough. Why don't we follow the example of the Iha kingdom and hold the conferring ceremony in the Zhang family fortress? Your Highness will also confer 7 to 8 imperial marshals. This will definitely shock the world. It will also make Yangshang Qinyu and the others feel that our Qin Empire is too arrogant. Arrogant? Do we really have to be so arrogant? We have a strong army and an invincible army. Why shouldn't we be arrogant? Alright, let's go with the plan. When should we set the date? 3 days later, at least the fortress will have a different appearance. We will confer the marshal there. Late at night, the marshal's mansion was quiet. Under the light of the candlelight, Qin Yin pursed her red lips and was hesitant. The conferring of the marshal was really a headache. So many generals had made contributions in the war, and it wouldn't be good to miss any of them. Moreover, if the ranking of the marshal was biased, it might cause dissatisfaction. At this moment, Qin Yin actually missed Su Muyun, Jin Yifan and Chu Chu. If they were here, this matter would probably be easier to decide. As for the conferring of the marshal, Lin Muyu avoided it because he was definitely on the list. It was not good to intervene. Therefore, only Tang Xiaoxi, Chu Yao, Si Kong Yao and Ouyang Yan accompanied Qin Yin. Since the Iha kingdom had 7 marshals, why don't we also appoint 7 marshals? Chu Yao said with a faint look in her eyes. Sister Chu Yao, do you have any suggestions for the candidates? Yufeng Jixing Qianfeng Qin Yan Dingxi Xiangyu Tangzhen Beilitsong Weichou Citizen Zhang Wei Qin Xiaoli and Qin Yong. These are all qualified candidates. Chu Yao bit her red lips and said, I can only think of so many for now. Tang Xiaoxi said, we also need to include the people guarding Lanyan City. Su Yu and Jin Yifan should also be on the list. Qin Yin nodded. In fact, the most troublesome thing was the ranking. How to rank the 7 marshals was selected was also a skill. Otherwise, if dissatisfaction was caused, the morale of the army would probably be shaken. After staying up for a night, the next day the list of the 7 marshals was finally released. The order was Lin Muyu, 1st Marshal, Heaven Suppressing Marshal, Qin Dukedom Feng Jixing, 2nd Marshal, Country Suppressing Marshal, Exen Dukedom Qianfeng, 3rd Marshal, North Pacifying Marshal, East Dukedom Xiangyu, 4th Marshal, East Pacifying Marshal, Eastern Dukedom Dingxi, 5th Marshal, South Pacifying Marshal, Southern Dukedom Tangzhen, 6th Marshal, West Pacifying Marshal, Western Dukedom Jin Yifan, 7th Marshal, Eagle Young Marshal, Divine Marquis. In addition, Qin Yan Wei, Qiu Situ Sen, Suyu Zhang Wei, Beili Tsong, Qin Xiaoli and 10 others were conferred the title of Great Generals, each with a title of nobility. The imperial edict was immediately sent to Xishan province and Lanyan city. It was necessary to let the whole world know of the great power of Qin state.